my goodness, that was so exciting. After months, weeks, days of trying to get the Corolla started, we got it started. And boy, oh boy, was it a trial by fire. Literally, cue all the backfire footage. That's right. I have no idea what I was doing, but we got the Corolla to be at a point where I'm pretty damn happy with it. Here she is in all her glory. I've cleaned up the wiring quite a bit. Underneath the car is quite messy, but the engine bay is looking in to be its final form. We have the alternator hooked up. We got the starter hooked up to the ground. Ooh, that's a little warm. Hooked up to the ground, hooked up to the positive on the battery terminal. We relocated the fuse box. I'm just gonna wrap these wires to make them look nice and tidy. They can just use a nice little, a little cinch down there. Got my Chevy HEI igniter. Got my Flamethrower 3 igniter coil, my NGK spark plug wires, set my timing correctly. Everything works. She sounds insane. She's open header now because we kept the steering box. But overall, the car is ready for a big piece of the puzzle, and it's gonna go right here. And that's right, folks, that's a radiator. One of the best radiators money can buy. So freaking stoked. Boom. Koyo Rad radiator cap can only mean one thing. My good friend Scott over at Koyo Rad hooked me up with this radiator. Thank you so much, Koyo. You are one of the few sponsors on this build, and I gotta say, I am super grateful for you. Koyo Rad box, it's going in there. Let's take the Koyo Rad out of the box and see how it's all gonna hook up. Of course, I started the car without a radiator. I only ran it for like 5 seconds. I don't think I damaged anything, but I wanna run the car. I wanna rev it. I wanna fire it up. I wanna enjoy it. And the only way I can do that is if I put water in the system. And the only way I can put water in the system is if I run a Rad. So let's install the Rad today. Okay, first thing you notice when unboxing the Koyo Rad out of the box is the quality. Out of the box. Look at that print. Oh my god, such a rad piece. Man, oh man, look at that thing. So sick. You can see the brushed finish of the aluminum. My god. And it weighs almost nothing. The welds are impeccable. It's got some mounting points already put on for you. Tabs, comes with a petcock and all the drainage locations, and the little bumps here to use your radiator clamps on your front apron. So let's see what the bottom looks like. It's got little tabs to drop in to where they need to go. You can see the fin design. This is an insane radiator. And honestly, this combo right here really just has me super jazzed. But enough of how much in love I am with this radiator. Let's get into what needs to happen. Can't just throw a radiator in a car and expect it to work. You gotta pull air through it. Some people use a fan that's part of the crank of the engine with the clutch on it. Some people use electric fans. I'm gonna run an electric fan kit. A bunch of reasons. One, I wanna be able to control the fan if I need to. Two, set it and forget it. I don't wanna worry about more belts, more draw from the engine. And then three, more power. Electric fans release more power, and this engine isn't really gonna make a ton of power. It's gonna probably make 110, 115 horsepower. So I'm trying not to lose 10 to 15% on a clutch fan fighting the engine as it's revving. So we're going E-fans on this bad boy. In order to keep our brand new Koyo Rad cool, I went with Mishimoto dual fan setup for a 4AGE AE86. So it should just bolt right up to that radiator. Now, before you say anything, yes, I know Mishimoto is not the best brand in the world. Koyo Rad, work wheels, Recaro seats, BC coilovers, like the car has very nice parts on it. But we went with Mishimoto for a few reasons. One, no one paid for it, so no one sponsored me on this, so I'm paying for it. And two, they're cheap enough to replace if they don't work. And so I'm gonna run these. They're better than nothing. It gets me to the point where I can drive the car and enjoy it. Sure, it's Mishimoto. Sure, the Mishimoto bag looks very similar to the Koyo bag. I wonder where they got that design from. But it should make my life a lot easier. So let's see if we can marry the fans to the radiator, get everything ready, bolt it up, and then see if we can drop it into the... This might be easier than I thought. You can see there's a tab here and a tab there. The radiator has 2 spots for fans to plug into. So I'm not gonna dent the radiator here, but I'm gonna lay the fans over the radiator like so. Okay, pretty easy fix here. You got the bolts that line up there, and then you have these two tabs, and I think, it being Mishimoto quality, these are meant to slide within the Koyo Rad tabs, but the problem is they're bent up instead of in to allow me to bend it down. And obviously these welds look like bird turds compared to the Koyo Rad welds. But it gets me to a point where I could easily fix this with a pair of pliers. So let's see if I can get this nice and snug against the rad, and then that way I only have one big unit to install. Here's something fun I discovered about Mishimoto fans. Sure, they bolt up. Sure, they got the bracket right. Sure, these tabs are off. You can hear it's off. But they're missing screws. The backing plate for the fan here, for this stupid logo that says push the limits, that's pretty pointless, is actually missing a screw. Because of that stupid mistake, I'm pulling it off. I'm not pushing any limits with you guys. I'm pulling the logo. Stupid Mishimoto. All right. Mishimoto's all set up on the radiator. Radiator. Let's get into installing this Koyo Rad. And the car itself, the AE86 and the TE72. The TE72 came with a clutch fan, so there's no way to control these. And a lot of people get like a BR fan controller or some other brands to control fans, but I didn't do that. I actually went with the Gucci way of controlling these fans. It's actually going to save me quite a bit. I went with the Chasebays fan controller wiring. The cool thing about this is it uses a little thermostat here, reads your water temperature, and turns on the fans whenever your water temp is over 180 degrees. And that's going to be super simple. I'm not going to put it into a key relay. I'm going to let the fans turn on whenever they want to turn on. If I'm done driving and I'm at a Walmart, I want the fans to run to cool down the car. So I'm just going to install this. It should be super easy, positive, negative, and hook up the controller. But the hard part about this is this doesn't fit on any fitting for the Corolla, but I came up with a solution. This is the fitting for the back of a rear-wheel drive 4AGE engine, and in this fitting it goes on the back of the engine like so, facing, like, let's say I'm looking at the car, and this water net comes out and runs to the front of the car, and there are two places here to hook up a thermostat. The factory 4AG uses one of these as a fan switch to turn on the fans when the car is too hot, and another one to help read the temperature gauge on the back of the engine so the ECU knows if the water temperatures are consistent. Now, I don't have any of that, and I don't want to have any of that. And obviously the Chasebays sensor is wrong. It won't fit in this. It's very small. But good old-fashioned AutoZone American ingenuity. I went to an AutoZone and I measured all of the temp sensors they had in stock, and I wanted to make sure I had a thread pitch that was M12 by 1.5. That was a pronged temperature sensor that had 2 connectors on it. And believe it or not, there we go. It threads into the hole perfectly. Right? And then it came with a little adapter to read the sensor. Now that's perfect because I have pigtails that I could wire into the Chasebays harness, and now I have a very flush temperature sensor that's a factory GM temperature sensor running the 4AGE. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this into the car. This is already installed on the car with the larger fitting closed with the connector. So all I gotta do is throw this in, throw the crush washer on, and then put this in, and then now I get my pigtails for my Chasebay wiring, and I should be good to go. So I'm gonna move to the engine bay now and get that going. All right, that's how the radiator's gonna sit in here. And then I got these awesome little radiator holders for a 4AG, not a TE72, that should hold it in position. And it's gonna kind of look just like that. Plenty of room to run the fans. You can see plenty of room. It clears all my stuff here. Of course, there's no clutch fan, so there's plenty of room up in here. It doesn't interfere with anything underneath the car. I made a little bracket that I'll show you what I made. And also the petcock should be pretty accessible. It's down there. So I could drain this system pretty easily. So that's basically where it's gonna sit. And let me pull the radiator out and show you the bracket I made. This is not the best bracket. I'm sure people like JSP or Techno Toy Tuning or whoever else could probably make an insane, awesome CNC'd piece. But if you don't have a CNC machine and you really suck at welding, you go and you get angle iron and you make a bracket. And let me show you what I did. All I did here was buy 2 stainless steel L brackets from the hardware store. And there were 2 existing bolts for the radiator mount from the 3TC. But the problem is that mount was only this thick and it wouldn't actually take the whole radiator in it. And then it only went to here, so like they would hit the lip of my radiator. So what I did was I bought 2 stainless steel L brackets, and then I got really hardcore Toyota hardware. This can hold a lot of weight, like a lot of weight, it's fine. And then I left this here as kind of like my guide when I put the radiator in, but of course you could easily cinch this off. Also, heaven forbid, if I like hit something rough, at least I have a little bracket up higher on the radiator that will keep it from rattling up and out. Ideally, it'd be best to have another one of these brackets on the ends, so then the radiator is super square, but I'm just gonna go with the middle here, and you can see it's scratching a little bit, and that's okay. I'm happy with that because the radiator just kind of slides in here between these 2 bolts, and then you use your radiator brackets on the top. You do need to drill 1 hole to make it centered, and then the radiator will fit flush against these things here, and you can use some seal-it tape to really keep the radiator nice and sealed so air has force to go through the radiator instead of around it. And so I'm gonna go ahead and pop her in now, drill some holes, and finish up the install, and we should have the radiator in the spot where we need it to be. I gotta make sure the hood closes. And the hood does close just fine. Hey, Koyo Rad, look how sick that looks. And a little test. Wow! So sick, so sick. Koyo Rad, front and center. The cap clears the hood, so we're good there. And obviously I moved my wood board here, but that's pretty much the engine bay. Now it comes time to actually hooking the water lines up and then hooking the fans in. But I've done most of this work already. All I gotta do is hook up the top lines and the bottom lines, and I think we should be good to go. And I already have those lines ready to go. I've already hooked up the water lines underneath the engine. Obviously there's no AC, there's no heater, so none of those lines need to be hooked up. And then I'll plug in the connect the fans to the battery, test the sensor to make sure they turn on at 180 degrees with a little lighter, and we should be in the money. So I'll just keep on working. Now we got to install the Chasebays wiring harness, and this is going to be pretty easy. The battery's hooked up, the ground is hooked up, the temperature sensor is hooked up to just the actual Chasebays controller, and we hooked it up to 1 fan. Emily, come on over. And you're gonna be my assistant. We're gonna see if this fan turns on.
Hey, don't put me on camera.
Too late, you're gonna be on camera, you're gonna help me. 99, 97, 94, not quite 180. Woo!
Wow, you did it!
Woo! What a fan! Can you feel the air?
Wow, it looks so good!
Woo! Everything's all hooked up, but before I can start to plumb the system, I need to install a overflow tank. This is just a cheesy Amazon one, has a little window there, and I think the perfect location for the overflow tank is right there. Actually go back a little bit so I'll have room for the overflow hose to run down, go down by my arm and plug into there. And I think the rule is it has to be lower than the radiator so it can flow. And so I'm gonna go ahead and mount her somewhere out there. Actually, maybe there. And it'll cover up my previous nutserts, and it should be perfect. So I'm gonna go and put it there, and that actually looks super sick in the engine bay. Oh, the engine bay is looking really good now. She's getting close. Okay, everything's hooked up. Now it's time to add coolant. And guess what? I don't have a funnel. After all this time and all this money, I don't have a funnel. So we're gonna try and get this first try without spilling. Let me mount this up and see if we can add some coolant.
I have my retainers in. I'm not in a good mood right now because somebody rear-ended me in Blue Thunder. You can't tell though.
That truck takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Are you okay though?
Fucked up the other car.
As long as you're okay.
I'm okay. I'm just
Okay.
like annoyed.
Okay.
Did all that work and now she's like,
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. As long as you're okay. I love you, baby.
I love you.
Okay, you ready for something that requires a lot more skill than
Then
we are ready to give it?
Oh really?
I'm
Oh
gonna
shit.
pour
Okay.
coolant. Look here, into this, but I don't have a funnel, so I
Oh
have
my
to do
god,
it.
go borrow one from
Well, I don't
Dan.
have a funnel, so we're gonna. No, I'll make one of the containers a funnel after I pour it.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah, here we go. This is the big moment.
Oh,
Asian
god.
vehicle antifreeze coolant. And I think
What the freak?
Toyota's right
Why
there.
is that normal?
It's because it's formulated for Toyotas, Lexus, and Scion.
Okay, Asian.
Baby, it's not. The coolant isn't racist.
Are you sure?
Your car has a different formula. Look, it's pink.
I wish they would name it something else.
Okay, here we go. No spillage. Oh.
You spelling. Spelling. This is coolant. What was that vacuum thing that Dan gave you? Okay, and he's not talking because he needs concentration. Pretty Kool-Aid color.
Okay, looks like we have leaks. Look at that, first leak.
Wow.
Oh man, it's because the gasket never went in. Okay, I found 2 leaks. One was the gasket for the water neck here, and 2 was the temp sensor for the bottom water neck as well. I never tightened that. That was just hand tight. So that's torqued down. This gasket's in place. These are torqued down. And I don't see any more leaks in the front of the engine. The back looks dry. And the water level in the radiator looks really good. So, yeah, I think we're good. The next thing I gotta do is put on the drive shaft. And then if I can put on the drive shaft, then I can actually put the car on all 4s. Emily won't let me start the car in the garage. She says it stinks too much. I understand. So I need to bleed this system. I need to run this car. I need to turn the engine on. I need to make it run. And in order to do that, I need to put the drive shaft on because I don't want to go back under the car again. So first things first, let's get the chaser out of the way and then prepare to put the drive shaft on this thing and I guess take it for a spin. You know what? Actually, I should probably add some brake fluid too. We'll do brake fluid in the drive shaft right now, real quick. Here's the problem. There's a bolt. There's a place there for the carrier bearing that carries the weight of the drive shaft to mount to. But as soon as I put the drive shaft in the transmission, look how far off I am. That's more than an inch. That's like 4 inches off. Well, with that carrier bearing issue, it looks like we're dead in the water for this episode because I can't put the drive shaft in and I can't bolt it up safely. It'll just sag and vibrate and it'll just be death. But I'm super excited. We got the radiator in, we got the lines in, the lens is dirty. We got the coolant overflow tank, which I think is so cool. Oh my God, I love this thing. Man, it's just starting to look like a complete car. I mean, this is freaking awesome. So I'm gonna take these to a drive shaft shop or somewhere near me and measure out exactly how far this needs to go back. And of course, the cool thing with Toyota is they give you a little bit of a compliance there. So we'll do that in the next episode, but I'm gonna wrap this one. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. And tomorrow's Saturday, which means either I spend all day on the Corolla or I spend some time on the Chaser and get the Chaser ready to cruise, because we haven't driven that Chaser in a while. That's it. Thanks so much for watching. Wow, the engine looks so good. I'm so stoked. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment. This has been a long one. It's been an exciting one, and I am so pumped on the progress that we've made. Shh.